I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Oh, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tuesday night. No, it's not Tuesday night. It's Monday night. Man, I knew that. I was at a council meetings and all kinds of meetings and chaos and craziness all day, and here I am wishing time away. Welcome to the Monday night episode. This is episode 342 of the Political Spotlight. I am your host, Christopher H. Bilbrey, and we are happy that you are here. Thank you for being here and giving us a little bit of your time. Producer Kate and I are ecstatic. And I didn't... Oh, man. I don't know. I'm gonna call an executive decision here, make an executive decision here. I didn't ask. I probably should have asked, but I'm just going to say it. No, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. We'll wait. I might just better. We'll wait. Okay, sorry. I was going through. It's really scary inside my mind sometimes. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a busy day. Thank you for being here. This is the 342nd episode of the show. For lack of a better name, our name department is out of commission at the moment. So with lack of a better name and the stress of going on through the day, tonight's episode is called December 2024 Meetings, Muncie, Winchester, Delaware County Analysis. That's what you get. And the thumbnail was ugly. I didn't take any time on that, but we had a lot of stuff going on today, and I had a lot of things I've been working on behind the scenes for future shows. I've been working on something for Delaware County that I think is going to be good here in the upcoming shows. Upcoming shows. I just saw Brandon. Did you see Brandon's comment? We've got some big news to tell you all tonight. We've got some of you probably have seen it if you follow me on social media. We've got the analysis of a couple different meetings that took place today. There were 4 meetings that I was more or less kind of following. Started out with the Delaware County Commissioners meeting and a special meeting of the Madison County Commissioners meeting at 9 and then 10 a.m. And then the Winchester City Council meeting, which took place at 6 p.m. tonight. And then, of course, the Muncie City Council meeting that took place at 7 p.m. tonight. And I'll be honest, I didn't think that the Muncie Council meeting was going to really be much. There wasn't much on the agenda. We got some questions answered that we had in the last couple of days. But the meeting was a little touchy at times. And so going to be interesting to kind of take a look at what goes on and raise some questions and kind of ponder different things going on. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Before we get into that, I would ask you, please consider going and hitting that like button. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, comment if you're watching live to the side, below if you're watching in the future at your own time. And above all else, please share the show with everyone you know. Let me see here. We destroyed the city of Muncie in views on the council meeting. I got to tell you, we've got more views on our feed than the city of Muncie had on their feed. And I got to tell you, that's I like it. I like it. So, you know, I think it speaks volumes because it's just so hard to, it's really just hard to follow what goes on when they're jumping all over the place and doing whatever they got going on. So I don't know. And now they've got something set up on their page just permanently. It's like a live, it's like just constantly waiting. It says new stream City of Muncie, and it's just constantly waiting. I don't know what this is. I about messed up because I was in there when I was sharing the show to jump the feed for our link. I was just in there and I figured it out right at the last minute. So if you're watching on the city's YouTube page, watch out for that. I don't know. It's kind of nonsense. So maybe they can clear that up. I'll have to pass the message along. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, let's see. We've got a couple of, I'm trying to think how to do this. You guys I'm stupid because most people would tease the big news until like the middle or the end and then just, make people wait. But I don't like doing that. I want to know stuff right up front. And so, do you want to hear the big breaking news? Please just tell us. Yeah, Kate, I do think that it could have something to do with us not limiting comments. So that is a very good possibility. Okay, so we're not going to talk about the Madison County meeting tonight. We're going to have Catherine on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about the meeting. We're going to talk about all stuff Madison County. So we're going to be doing that. So for Puppy Lover, Puppy Branch. Oh, yeah, there you are. Help. That's amazing. You commented right as I started talking. Puppy Branch. I thank you for sticking around. We're going to talk about stuff that should interest you. I think you were interested in some of our commentary last night, even though it wasn't related to Madison County. But for your viewing pleasure, we will be talking about your county on Wednesday. So just FYI. So that means the meetings that we're going to talk about, I'm just going to mention something just briefly about the Delaware County commissioners meeting this morning. It was pretty ho-hum, pretty just right down the middle. So there wasn't much there. Then I'm going to talk about the Winchester meeting just briefly about something that occurred or moreover didn't occur because I ended up not going. Thank God. And you guys are going to be mad, but you'll be happy when I tell you why. And then lastly, the Muncie City Council meeting. And that's what we're going to obviously spend most of our time on. There's a lot to discuss there. So the big news, however, we're going to go out of order. We're going to go out of order. Kate's asking me if King showed up. We don't want to, so I'm going to hold off to that. We're going to quickly just do the big breaking news. And folks, this is so good news. Matter of fact, Kate, if I send you something, can you put it in the overlays? Let's see here if I know how to do this. It's been a minute since I've done it. Did I get rid of that already? That would be ludicrous if I did. Oh, yeah, right here it is. Okay. So while I'm preparing this, I will say that, yes, James King did attend the meeting today. So that means he's now attended 3 of 4. He attended 1 of 4. Now he's now attended 2 of 5. He's attended 2 of the last 5 meetings. Will he attend the final meeting of the year? Your guess is as good as mine. I have heard that there was an important meeting that was held last week between incoming commissioner-elect Stephen Brand and the attorney and Shannon Henry. James King was supposed to show up, but he didn't. So I think that's kind of funny. So he is definitely in lame duck mode. He did attend the meeting today. So that's that. Yeah, we are going to be talking about the city of Winchester here just for a moment. And I'm going to go ahead and bring you the breaking news right up here, first and foremost, right here at the beginning of the show. Let you know the reason I did not attend the Winchester City Council meeting is this reason right here. Oh, God, I'm sorry I just did that to all of you. So, I know it might be hard for you all to see this writing down here at the bottom, but this writing says, "Dear Council, Mayor, and Republican Party members, due to recently taking a new position," and I've highlighted that because I find that like laughable. Due to recently taking a new position, I feel that it is in the best interest of the citizens of Winchester, Indiana, that I resign my district seat on the Winchester City Council effective December 31st, 2024. I plan on being in attendance at a meeting in December. Okay. Well, tonight was the first meeting and she wasn't there. So she has one more meeting to make, and that will be on the 16th. Now, that meeting, we don't have a Muncie City Council meeting to contend with. So I will go. And if she's there, maybe we'll just ask her why she decided to rip off the taxpayers for at least another 2 meetings. That would be an appropriate question to ask. Let's go on with this a little bit here. She is going to attend 1 meeting in December. Although my permanent residence remains at 626 High Street, Winchester, Indiana. Although my permanent resident remains at this place in Winchester, Indiana, but I am not going to be able to attend meetings like I should. Really? I will continue to follow, attend when I can, and help the citizens, council members, and City of Winchester staff as needed going forward. I am proud to have served on the council and wish everyone the best of luck moving forward. Sincerely, Lisa Friend Teal. Now, this is very interesting. This is really, really interesting. And I don't know what to say about this. This is insane to me. Of course, we talked about this last night. And my issue is in my post, and I tagged Lisa. Maybe Lisa will respond. I don't know. She normally has been someone in the past that does not like to pass up a good social media argument. She is somebody who likes to get into it on social media. And so it's normally pretty easy to ask her a question that is a legitimate question and then get her raging and, just being completely batshit crazy because, she doesn't apparently realize that social media, is forever and it doesn't look good. And she forgets sometimes that she's a public servant. So, I just said after 21 months of getting paid to be an elected city councilor for the city of Winchester, Indiana's 4th district, even though she has not been compliant with Indiana State's residency requirement as laid out in Indiana Code 36526, Lisa Teal has finally turned in a letter of resignation to the city of Winchester and to the Randolph County Republican Party effective December 31st. Why December 31st? Okay. I mean, I want to know what her reasoning is there. Why did she submit her resignation now after all of this time? Laughably, she said it's due to recently taking a new position in the state of Texas. That, of course, comes after her new positions in Montana, and then her new positions in Kansas, and her new position in whoever the hell knows wherever else, all since March of 2023, when she pulled out of Winchester to find a dream and a life of her own, a place in the clouds, a foundation of stone. Many proceed and many will follow. A young girl's dreams no longer hollow. It takes the shape of a place out west, but what it holds for her, she hasn't yet guessed. And because even though she had committed to the citizens of Winchester, she apparently needed wide open spaces, room to make her big mistakes. I'd like to talk about those mistakes. Anyway, so that's it. It's over. Except for the fact that it isn't over. What frustrates me is that this happened because producer Kate, dared to ask a question because somebody in the internets reached out to me because who knows what she's done to them already in Texas that they would start immediately Google. I mean, maybe it's just people are freaks. They see a new name and they just immediately start Googling it. And they're like, oh, what's this? Okay, back up. So we'll get to that in a second, Catherine. Let's star this and star this because I want to get to that. These are important. We will get there because those are important things, and I definitely want to answer those. And this is it's very simple to answer what you're asking. What frustrates me is this happened because at the last meeting on Monday, November 18th, Mayor Bob McCoy brought this situation up, acting like it had just cropped up recently. He and the council started discussing ways to deal with this, which we talked about last night, including creating rules that govern counselors' attendance, yada, yada, yada. And while, yes, I fully agree, someone that is elected to a position should show up to do the job that they were elected and paid to do, Indiana law already covers this, stating that an elected official only has to work 1 day per year, which she has done. If we don't like that, then we need to talk about changing our state representatives and our state senators. Okay, that's another conversation. This proves, however, that Winchester Mayor Bob McCoy, City Council Meeks, City Attorney, the City Mayor's Council, the City Attorney Meeks Cockrell, and the 4 of the other councilors are just complete idiots because they don't need to sit around pondering great thoughts and stupid thoughts and devising rules. They didn't need to do a lot of busy work. They just simply needed to utilize what is already in place, Indiana's residency requirements. The residency requirements state, and I didn't write this out as a code, I wrote it out in its plain English. The residency requirement states, a member of the legislative body must reside within the district, listen, must reside within the district from which the member was elected, if applicable. If a member of the legislative body who is elected by the voters of a district forfeits, and a member of the legislative body who is elected by the voters of a district forfeits office, if the member ceases to be a resident of the district. It's that simple. That's all. They could have booted her ass off the council back in March of 2023, which would have saved the taxpayers from paying her $8,401.47 to live in Montana, in Kansas, and now Texas. All locations which I'm fairly sure are not located within the few confines, the walls and the roads and the houses there in District 4 in the city of Winchester in Randolph County, Indiana. Lisa's full resignation is, I put that up on the screen so you could see it. And it's laughable because she attempts to save face by saying, well, although my permanent residence is still in Winchester, I'm not going to be able to attend meetings. First of all, you haven't been. This isn't new. Are you stupid? This is bullshit. In an attempt to make it easy for any of the smooth brains out there reading this and buying into her bullcrap, let's make this extremely simple, as Kate said last night. Imagine John Doe is 17 years old and he lives at 123 North Main Street, Winchester, Indiana. He turns 18 years old. He goes and he votes. He votes for the first time when he's 18, and he joins the military. Now imagine, if you can, that after John Doe joins the military, he's shipped off all around the world, living for months and or years at a time in places like Germany or Italy or Japan or Afghanistan, and maybe also living at bases in America, just not inside Winchester because, believe it or not, there is not a military base in Winchester, okay? So military personnel can live elsewhere, and John Doe would be perfectly legal in stating that he lives and his address is at 123 North Main Street. That would be his permanent address. He even gets to vote in the Winchester elections there, and say that he turns this into a 20-year military career. For 20 years, this could go on. However, what he cannot do during that time is he cannot hold elected office. It's that simple. Lisa has known this the whole time. She's known this since before she packed up to leave. She's known this because Lisa's not dumb. She's dumb, but she's not dumb, if you catch my drift. She knows this. She knows that she's been getting over on the people of Winchester. She knows that she's not been doing her job.
Niles had something to say to this.
What? Yep.
So this isn't the first time in the state of Indiana something like this has happened.
Sure.
Indianapolis, there was a Democrat who lived like a block away from his district.
Mm-hmm.
But he had an apartment in his district.
Mm-hmm.
I think he went to prison.
Yeah.
What majority rules, the Republicans have control, so they do whatever they want.
Yep.
She didn't even live in the state. She got reelected not living here.
Right.
And there is a lawsuit that was filed a while back. And well, we've not heard anything from that. But I mean, this shit is out of control. This is, if you're a Republican in the state of Indiana and you voted for Donald Trump, this should piss you off, because this is what Donald Trump's fighting in DC.
Absolutely.
I can't see how any Republican could justify this crap and be a fan of Donald Trump. There's more than one swamp. He's just cleaning the one out in DC.
Yep. Yeah. That's absolutely true. Well, this is what Ryan Webb was talking about last week when we had him on, and he was talking about the concept of, you hear Trump and them talking about permanent Washington. They're trying to get rid of and break through this idea of permanent Washington, removing the people that have set up and made this their life's mission. But it's not just on the national level. There's an idea of a permanent Delaware County and a permanent Randolph County and a permanent Madison County. It's these people in these little places, in these communities, who are so entrenched and they believe, I can't get beat. No one's ever going to beat me. I'm part of the good guys club. No one's ever, I'm the beautiful people. No one's going to touch me. I'm not touchable, and I can do whatever the hell I want to do. And the only reason she sent this letter is because now, just out of all this time, a few fellow elected officials are now seeming like they're raising a stink too. But that's after she's getting browbeat. Absolutely. And that's after she's made $8,000 that she should not have made. So everyone,
and health insurance and all the other shit.
Absolutely.
I mean, some people would call that ghost employment. Because you're not there.
The state only requires her to show up to one meeting a year.
That's what sucks. I get what you're saying. That should be a problem, and people should have a problem.
Definitely fraud, waste, and abuse.
No shit.
That's taxpayer
100%.
money.
Absolutely.
And it's going to an individual who is hardly ever here.
Yep. And here's the thing, like, she's like, well, I've been to 4 meetings or 6 meetings, okay, that's great. But it's because if anybody goes back and watches and looks at the minutes and compares when she's been here, the meetings that she attends always happens to coincide with holidays. And so what she does is she leaves her, in my opinion, her main residence, wherever she's at. And then she comes back here to her family to spend time with her family for the 4th of July. And so she then attends a meeting in July, and then she goes home, and then she might turn back up around Labor Day. And so she does that, and then she goes away, and then she comes back, because of Thanksgiving. And, well, this time she didn't, but she's going to be back for Christmas. So of course she'll be able to attend the 16th. And so that's the whole thing we were saying during the election last year. Like, Winchester had 2 other alternatives to Lisa Friend, and they just chose not to do anything with it. I don't know. Isn't that your district? Are you in District 4? Jesus.
I might run as a Republican.
Well, you've got your 2 primaries, don't you?
Yeah, I would say.
I almost always vote Republican in the primary.
Right. Oh, man. That's the thing. This is what's going to suck. We're counting this like a victory, and it is because Lisa's gone. But it's not, because the Republicans are going to place the seat. And it's not that I have a problem with Republicans. I just have a problem with these Republicans. I have a problem with Indiana Republicans. I have a problem with what Republicans are today. And
the red Democrats.
Yeah, right.
This is the most liberal red state. It's ridiculous. I mean, the shit that's going on, it sounds like Chicago. You got
it's absolutely
the district
crazy.
attorney or whatever, all kinds of sexual harassment charges. You got people just flying off the handle doing all kinds of dumb shit, and they just cover it up.
Yeah.
But you know what they can't do with the supermajority? Fucking run the state.
Isn't that amazing? They can
They'll
do all
cover
these
their buddies' tracks with all their drugs and prostitutes and whatever else they're doing.
Kids, yeah.
But they just can't pass the bills they've been running on for the last 15 years with a supermajority.
Well,
but they did do flag laws, which is so unconstitutional.
Isn't that amazing? And everybody says, well, they got through constitutional carry, but they did it. They did it the weenie way. They didn't put through a constitutional carry bill. They jammed it in the back of like a, something about deer tails or corn. What those.
They only did it because Ohio did it.
Absolutely. So here's the thing, and this is what Brandon and I were talking about a while back. It's time for the Republicans to sack up. We've been able to hear this now for the last 20 years, about the last 2 decades about this supermajority. Definitely the last decade about this supermajority.
Primary ticket. Did you vote for Lisa on that one, or did you leave it blank?
No, I voted for Trump.
And then walked out?
Yeah.
Okay. So the answer is no. No, he did not vote for Lisa.
No. Well, so this go around, we now have the quote unquote Republican supermajority. We don't have quote unquote Holcomb in there to hamper them. We've got Braun, who's supposed to do everything and be magical. So there is absolutely no excuses for the Republicans this time. I'm going to tell you guys, in 2 years, when the Republicans come around and be like, well, they're campaigning on the same thing they've been campaigning on for the last 10 years, you need to kick all of their asses to the curbs because they have no time better than now.
Well, I can tell you, Mike Braun got elected because people just vote straight ticket and don't do the research. Because if they would have looked into Mike Braun, not even his political career, how he runs his businesses and all the lawsuits, they wouldn't have voted for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You want to see a fuck you, Indiana. You're about to get 4 years of it.
It's going to be insane. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be. I can't wait to see the people who have really bought into this when they realize that this is just Holcomb 2.0 and that nothing's going to happen. And what's funny is the Republicans have had nobody to run against here at the state level for so long. All they've been doing for the last several years is talking about all of the Democrats at the national level. Well, now they don't have anything to talk about because for the next 2 years, Trump's got the White House, Trump has the Senate, Trump has Congress. The Republicans have the supermajority in Indiana. We've got the governor's office. So they should be able to pass through literally everything they want to pass through. And if they don't get that done, and they will not do that, then people need to say, okay, the jig is up. We get it. Enough.
Braun, I think, is going to be so bad that our next governor will be a Democrat.
It's a very real possibility. I could see that.
You think that Holcomb was buddy-buddy with all the industries in the state of Indiana? He is a part of that group.
That's exactly.
Anything that he pushes that's good for big business and bad for the little guy benefits him.
Yep.
And if you look at all those lawsuits that were filed against him by his workers, it ain't going to be good.
Time will tell.
Good.
I'm done.
All right. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Yeah, he's exactly right. Well, and that's what sucks about this thing in Winchester is Lisa's out. And I mean, look, I could go on for a whole nother 2 days about. So for everybody asking, Lisa, I called to the clerk's office today in Winchester. They receive $407 and now what did she say? Hold on. I have it right here. Give me 1 second. They receive a grand total of $400.07 per meeting. So not talking about insurance or any of that, just talking about the money that they make just for attending the meeting. The Winchester City Councilors make $400.07 for each meeting. So for 21 months, she received $400.07. And some will say, well, when she was there, she earned the money. No, she didn't. Because when she was there, she was sitting, whatever, in a seat that technically could not have been hers, legally could not have been hers. She was not and has not been compliant with Indiana's residency law since she willingly, knowingly packed up her shit and moved west. And she knew what was happening. We heard about it before she did it. And we started talking about it. And she did it. She knew that we knew about it. We started hounding her then. And she went out of her way to do these little things like, well, I'm going to attend some of the meetings and my home address is still Winchester. What she does not understand is what the residency definition in Indiana is and what the residency requirements are. She does not and has not fit that. And so, in my opinion, it's not like she stole the money, but she definitely didn't give it back. What's she been doing with this money? You know? So that's the big news from Winchester. Because of that, because I found this out this morning or this afternoon about 2:00, I was able to skip the meeting. I did not attend the meeting because I knew that she was going to be attending, I believe, or at least she says, the meeting at the second half of the month. And because there isn't a city council meeting from Muncie then, I'll be able to go then. I'll be able to address my concerns then. I'll be able to talk about the taxpayer money. I'll be able to give all that stuff over. I did send an email to John Bruchin about the residency issue. I told him, don't go through the process of creating these rules that really have no teeth and you can't do anything with anyways. You know, don't get hung up on attendance and all of that stuff. Yes, it would be nice to be able to do that, but they can't override state law. So, you know, there's not going to be really anything, in my opinion, there they can do. However, you have to use the tools that are given to you. And the tools have been laid out right there in the residency requirements. They were told all of this back last year when all of this first happened. There were many of us talking to them, talking to all different kinds of them, approaching them, yelling, screaming, talking, being nice, being mean, every which way possible, trying to get them to understand. And now it's a problem 21 months later. So that's that. Okay. From there, I want to backtrack really briefly to the Delaware County Commissioners meeting today. There was a Delaware County Commissioners meeting that occurred today. If you want to watch that meeting, you can watch it on the Delaware County government YouTube page. King was in attendance at the meeting. The meeting was pretty short. They did, I thought something was rather interesting. They did have a presentation by the construction manager or the project director of the Delaware County rehab facility that they're building out by the Justice Center. And he came there and said everything is running smoothly. Everything is above board. Everything's wonderful. You know, we're going to get her done. Apparently they're having a they've got a deadline that they plan to be done by this with this thing by June, I think, of next year. So that is if the winter goes well. But they didn't talk about any of the concerns. And of course, they're not going to. But I'm going to dig into this and I'm going to question them about this. And we need to find out what's going on here, because the company that is apparently on board to actually run the facility, well, it just recently filed bankruptcy. So it has filed bankruptcy, and that's a problem. There is no funding mechanism to run this thing when the opioid settlement money is gone. They started to whip up this frenzy, and they went into this project with only the opioid settlement money. That is mind-numbingly stupid, because that money is not something that is just going to continue replenishing. There's a very finite amount of this. And when that opioid settlement money for Delaware County is gone, it's gone. Now, a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, is this the crisis center that we're talking about? And I have to say, no. It's not the crisis center that we're talking about. This is the Delaware County government, who, after Dan announced the crisis center without talking to the county, they then announced this rehab that they were supposed to have built when they moved to Wilson, but didn't. They announced this without talking to the city, so both sides don't talk to each other. And let's see, give me 1 second here. Let's see. Okay. So the Tweety Bird asked who the company was that has filed bankruptcy. And that is actually, as I was talking about this is what I am this is what I am trying to find. I don't actually know. I think that it is the company from Tennessee. I think it's a company out of Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to have to go back and find the sources that I have had that have reiterated this to me. And I'm telling you, listen, this is not maybe I don't have the name, and so that seems bad. But it's just because there's a lot of information and it flows out. That being said, the name will be easy to get. I'll have it here in just a few moments. But it doesn't matter that I don't have the name. It is 100% accurate information in saying when we find the name. Okay, let's see right here. Right here. Give me a second. Okay, so the construction company is BW Construction. Dustin Fry of BW Construction, and apparently he is who was at the commissioners meeting today. That's not who we're talking about. Okay, we're close. All right, I think it might be WellPath. An official with WellPath to provide services to the center told commissioners it was imperative that we have a yes. Okay, let me see. It's WellPath. Give me 1 second here. Yep, right here. Right here we go. Yeah, right, Puppy Branch. No, I know, Tweety Bird, that I know that you weren't. I know that you weren't questioning me. I needed to find the name. This is actually what stopped me from talking about this a couple of days ago. Was I didn't have the name, so I wasn't able to check. But then I heard from another source. Today, and that source confirmed what I had heard. And so I knew that I was good to go. Okay, so this is from they have a lot of lawsuits against them. Yeah. Okay, so here is WellPath. It says Nashville Post, WellPath files for bankruptcy. Prison healthcare provider works to reduce the $550 million of debt. WellPath Holdings, a national provider of healthcare to prisons and jails, has filed a notice for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. And then, of course, I'm going to have to sign up to see that. So that's the situation there. The AI thing here says this here. Yes, WellPath, a national provider of healthcare services to prisons and jails, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the United States Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of Texas. WellPath's bankruptcy filing was due to a number of challenges, including rising costs, COVID-19, underperforming contracts, legal costs. WellPath has paid out millions in verdicts and settlements, often stemming from the deaths of people under its care. Good Lord. Yay. This is really interesting. This is really amazing. Let's see here. Healthcare provider for Ventura County jails files for bankruptcy protection. healthcare company in Florida has hit a financial wall. What that means for patients. Medical companies' bankruptcy could hinder jail death lawsuit in Charlotte. And it's all WellPath. Now, let me ask you this. Has anybody here heard anything about this from the Delaware County Commissioners? Jackie, I don't know if you're here, but if you are, you're the resident commissioners guru. Have you heard anything about this from your Delaware County Commissioners? Moreover, have we heard anything about this from the esteemed Star Press? No, of course not. Of course not. Why would we have heard anything from no, so this is Stumblefoot. This is not Dan. I think you're getting this mixed up with the crisis center, which is going to be staffed by Meridian. That's the crisis. This isn't Dan. This is the commissioners. So while I have no problem placing blame on Dan, he doesn't get the blame for this one, which is good. So no, this is a crazy situation, and this is one that I've currently been working on. I'm going to be working on because there's a lot going on with this. Because there's more than just this, and yeah, like Jeff Hager said, you mean no thought to ask that question? How do we run this after the opioid money is exhausted? Yeah, right. No thought. Absolutely no thought. And it's the same thing as moving the blasted jail from downtown Muncie out to Wilson to a building that continues to give them problems. And that's because all King wanted was to see his name on a bronze plaque inside of a building. That was all King cared about. He did not care about anything else. He just wanted to get a shovel of him shoveling the dirt and a hard hat and a picture, and then to be able to take his kids in and say, what's happening here? Look what I did. Whose name is that? And his kids can be like, oh, look, it's Grandpappy Cowboy Kid Commissioner James King. You know, that's the problem. Yeah. You know, I'll tell you. So Jackie says the out-of-state company that provides treatment rehabilitation services for correctional populations was highly recommended. In the past, Delaware County Commissioners, along with local Dr. Lynn Whitty, was really impressed with this provider. I have not heard about any financial bankruptcy matters. Look it up, Jackie. It's called WellPath, and remind everyone that you know that the first place you heard about this was right here at the Political Spotlight. You didn't hear about it from your commissioners. You didn't hear about this from your newspaper. You didn't hear about this from anybody other than who you hear about all of this shit from, and that's us. Me and Kate and Brandon, all of us here. And it sucks. It really sucks that it's like this. So I've got a lot of work to do on this. This is just the very, very starting point of this. There's a lot more that goes with it. And I'm not going to say anything negative about Dr. Lynn Whitty. I'm just going to say this. I know of her. I know Lynn Whitty just from being around. I just know of her from being around. I don't know her personally, and I'm not talking about her in her official capacity, whatever she does as a doctor, as a counselor, as whatever. I am only talking about her in the capacity of being someone who speaks favorably for things like this. She spoke favorably on Dan's crisis center, and it was an absolute flop. It's been a flop. It is a flop. I'm hearing that it's going to open here, or maybe it has opened. It's doing a soft opening or whatever. Something about that. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm hearing that they're doing something like that. And to me, it just is another step of weirdness in a whole long line of weirdness. And so that was like really made me think, oh, Lynn, man, that maybe you shouldn't have attached your name to this. And then she spoke out in favor of this well path. I had no reason to believe there'd be an issue there. And then amazingly, now there's an issue. So she's kind of shooting herself in the foot credibility wise. She's kind of shooting herself in the foot credibility wise when it comes, like, I probably won't ask her for a recommendation on where to eat because, she's not doing good in her recommendations as of late. So, I don't know. Very, very, very strange. But this will not be the last time that we will talk about this. We will be talking about this a lot moving forward, and there's going to be a lot of information here to cover moving forward. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be a lot to deal with as far as this situation goes with the city of Muncie, the city of Muncie's crisis center, but also Delaware County's rehabilitation facility. Okay, so moving on, we're now going to go to the big one of the day, and that's the Muncie City Council meeting. And let me tell you, when I say that this was a sleeper, I really mean it. I honestly did not think that anything was really going to happen here. I didn't think that this was going to be a major deal at all. Thought it was going to be a real quick wham bam, thank you ma'am, done, in and out. And it turned out to not be so easy. It turned out to be a little bit more crazy than I thought that it was going to be. That's exactly what that means, Tweety Bird. That they don't have enough staff and they can't fit. Let me ask you this. Pause before I say that. Before we go on to the city, Jackie, you're probably going to be one of the only people that can answer this. Do you recall how many beds the Delaware County facility told us they were going to have? The commissioners or Lynn Whitty or Wellpath or anybody told us they were going to have? Does anybody here remember how many? I'm not talking about the crisis center. I'm talking about the Delaware County rehabilitation facility. Does anybody recall how many beds the commissioners and that whole group told us they would have there? I want to see. Michael says 9 to 13. Anybody else have a stab at it? I'm off screen, so if we're getting other answers here, I'll get it here in just 1 second. I'll be right back on. I want to show you something. That comment that Tweety Bird just reminded me, and I'm so happy that you said this. All right. Goody. We got some players. Michael says 9 to 13. And now this is Price is Right's rules, so it's the closest without going over. Keep that in mind. Alva said 70. Stumblefoot, man after my own heart. I'd have to go back and look, honestly. The Admiral says, didn't the drawing of it show 15 beds? Jackie Fisher says 30. Stumblefoot says building plans always change. And Tweety Bird with the ding, ding, ding. Unless you look this up, asshole. Did you look this up? I could see you looking this up. And obviously I'm playing asshole. I'm not really calling you an asshole. I act like I know you. I probably shouldn't have said that. That's something I would say to like Kate or somebody. I'm sorry if that offended you. I shouldn't have said that. Okay. So let me show you this. GW says, don't forget about the 12th Street open door facility moving along. Yeah, that's true. All right, see what this says? Yeah, the asshole's a gender neutral form of endearment. Absolutely. Exactly. Avoiding the look of a detention center. I did look it up. You are an asshole then. That's hilarious. Eugene Vorsolowski of RQAW said plans called for a building covering 11,825 square feet with 40 beds, designed to look more like a private residence than a detention center. Those participating in the service of the rehabilitation of the facility are expected to stay for 23 to 30 days. Okay, let me tell you, they're now going to have 10 beds in it. 10 beds. 10 beds. That's that many plus that many again.
In an 11,000 square foot building?
Yes!
Man, I would love to have an 1,100 square foot room all to myself.
I know.
I bet the break room's going to be killer.
Yeah,
I know, dude. Can you imagine the size of the offices in there? He said, I bet the break room's going to be killer. 10. See, Tweety Bird. Now that I don't know. Yes, with the understanding that some of the patients that would be there will also be people from the Delaware County Jail. So it's like, no. Yes. Well, I'll come back to that, Michael. That's hilarious. So yes, I mean, I believe that's what I've heard, that it was supposed to be like kind of come as you please, leave as you wish, and want whatever. Except for the people that are in the jail, they obviously can't leave. So I don't know. All of that said, Michael is the closest. Because he said 9 to 13. So technically, Yeah, Stumblefoot. That's yeah. So, so that's a good question, Mike. I don't know, man. This is so strange. Like, because here's the deal. This has been going along. All right. I would think that's the point. I would think that's the point, Karen. Yeah, to have classes held there. I would think that they would do that. I know the city all too well. They didn't want to have the optics of it being a jail program. Yeah, right. Which, it's going to be hard to do given that it's going to be right next to the jail. And that you would have to, that's the other kicker, that you have to have jail guards in there because at least some of the people are going to be inmates from across the street. But nobody talked to the sheriff about how that's going to be funded. No one asked anybody. No one is asking Randolph County if they'd like to kick any money over to this. No one's asking Henry County, hey, would you like to kick in any money to this? No one's asking Madison County or Blackford County. Although Dan ran to everybody asking for their opioid money for his crisis center, the county just said, oh, we got enough. I don't even know. So, yeah, that's that Tweety Bird's comment about not having enough people to open reminded me about the bed deal. So we went from 40 to 10. I guess that's what bankruptcy does. So we've got a lot to work on this. I've got a lot to do to work on this. And I'm not even sure that they are aware that I'm aware of all of this yet. Yeah, right. Right, Tweety Bird. That's the other thing. This is such a disaster. This is just one disaster after the next. Do I say it? Let me ask you. Do you want me to tell you the kicker with the building? I've not said it. Do I say it or do I hold off? Just say it. Kate waved her hand and just said, say it. We've not even got to the city yet. I need to get to the city. The kicker with this is I'm hearing crazy rumors that they might just build the building and then just say, cancel the program, to hell with it. Cancel the program. All right, we got a building. We got an empty building, but cancel the program. That is a thought that people are having now that they're hearing we've got financial problems. We've got, we don't know who's going to staff this thing because they're going to go under. We don't know how many beds there are of this. That's the other thing, Eric. I'm not quite sure. I don't know that I've ever really known. Oh, okay. Well, ask and you shall receive. The early estimations was between $4.5 and $5.5 million of just building and outfitting the building. Building the building and outfitting the building. $4.5 to $5.5 million. Too many people catching on bringing attention to the scams. Yes, Michael, that's true. Are they honestly going to build an 11,000 square foot building for 10 beds? You know, the only thing crazier than that, Alva, is building an 11,000 foot building for 0 beds. I see your 10 beds and I cut that by 10. Another failure for the people of Delaware County who need help. Homeless camps are multiplying. Yeah, listen, we're laughing. I'm laughing and joking about this because it's like there's nothing else to do. It's not funny. This is horrible. I see it as a new jail. Second offense, hand and dying, making victim whole. Other crimes are not crimes. I think I know what you're trying to say there, Clinton. With change orders, it will be at least 10 million, $1 million a bed. I like to be that landlord. No shit. The overflow jail? Absolutely. Absolutely. Taxes raising, utilities raising. Soon we'll all be in Dan's apartments or in the tents that guy at the council meeting was talking about tonight. Yeah, it's scary. It's really scary times, man, for what they've got going on. The county is in a bit of a pickle. You know, I try to go back and forth on thinking, like, is the city worse off than the county? Is the county worse off than the city? Is the city doubly screwed because it's the city and in the county? I don't know. I just know that they're all in a bad way. That's honestly. Hoover City's coming. Yeah, that's scary too. All right, now we've got to get on to the city of Muncie because it's already. We've been here for an hour and 11 minutes. All right, we got to get to the city of Muncie. I can do this real quick. I promise. We can get through it and hit the highlights and get through everything that we need to get through. So this Muncie City Council meeting was crazy. So the meeting in its whole was an hour and 55 minutes. Okay, we are definitely not going to watch the whole hour and 55 minutes. Okay, we're going to watch just the highlights. If you want to go back and watch the meeting, please watch it on our channel. You can watch it at the Political Spotlight here on YouTube. I don't share it to Rumble. I just share it to YouTube. So that's that. And it's also on, I guess it's also on X and Facebook. It's just not on Rumble. I don't share any of the live videos on Rumble. I just share, or any of the live on location videos, rather. I share all of our static videos and all of our live episodes, but none of the live on location. And I don't know why I started doing that, but I just did. And so it is what it is. You can't be friends with them and hold them fully accountable. The list is long. That is absolutely true. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, here's the start of the meeting. The meeting got started tonight, and it was...
It would help us, dear Heavenly Father, as a city to grow together.
Okay, we're going to get through here.
Time and...
Yes.
I want to say this before we get started. We'll get rid of some of the stuff. Do you remember the ordinances talking about pause? There was a house to be built for kids taken from homes called Isaiah's house. Can you look into that sometime? It's gone silent. Let me write that down. Here in Delaware County, Tweety Bird, I will look at that. Something sounds familiar somewhere back here in the recesses of the brain, but I will look into it. Yeah, I will look into that. Okay, I will look into that, man. So, matter of fact, I'll look into it when we get off here, and I'll text you about it either later tonight, or I'll message you, or either later tonight or tomorrow. Anyway, do you recall Screw you, Alva. You can't do that. We'll be dead by then. Muncie will be bad. It'll be over. Muncie will look like Ridgeville in 2 years if you do that. No, it's not that bad. We've got some good things going on here. But we've got a lot of crazy shit too. We're going to get to that also in this council meeting. So the first things I want to talk about is, first of all, do you all remember the couple of different ordinances that I was talking about that they were wanting to totally repeal and get rid of, dealing with the television company thing, the making the getting rid of the thing that says they couldn't. It was like they were repealing the ordinances saying that they couldn't regulate prices. So basically, it sounded like they were wanting to be able to regulate prices again. Well, the city council attorney got up and spoke on it and made it very clear. What this is a couple years ago, Belinda Munson sent all of the codes to MuniCode and had them start uploading and going through it. And basically part of their job was to see if there were any ordinances that were redundant or that were stupid, that like were not needed because of other things or, whatever. Well, those ordinances was part of that thing. So it's not that they're trying to tell people you owe money or set prices and rates for cable. There's a state law saying that cities cannot do that. And basically the whole chapter, it's not the whatever it was, the television rates commission has not even been named in over 10 years. And so they just said that this was totally not something that needed to be on the Muncie books. So those ordinances tonight were set to wipe them clean. So it's like those things are erased from Muncie's ordinances, which is good. Getting rid of nonsense on the books is always good. I'm going to come back to this because I do want to talk about this. Amazingly, Kid Rock, I know what you're talking about. I will come back to that and talk about that, the UFO war tomorrow. The UFO war invasion that's scheduled tomorrow. I do want to come back. I'll stay here till the end because I want to talk to you about that. So that's important. I wanted to tell everybody that because I kind of thought maybe they were doing something funky, but it was totally benign. Okay. So
Selby?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Fishman?
Yes.
see what this is.
Fishman?
Present. Julia, you want to come up here and
The Delaware County Planning.
Okay.
reappointing Julia
Selby?
Mason?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Okay. So
Is there any, first of all, are there any questions of her from the board?
Sackatoff?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Garrett?
Yes.
Fillion?
Yes.
Basham?
Yes.
now something I want you to notice. I want you to look at and watch and notice Nora's basic uninvolvement tonight. She really did and or said not much of anything. Very strange.
Fishman?
Yes.
Nine.
Good on the committee reports.
I'd like.
Listen to this.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the first interesting thing. Listen to Dale read from this committee report.
I have a committee report.
Yeah.
I'd like to report on ongoing negotiations between the city of Muncie.
So when he first said this, when he's like, I'd like to report on the ongoing negotiations between the city of Muncie, I thought he was going to say, and AFSCME. And I thought, okay, good. Listen to what he says instead.
and the Fraternal Order of Police, FOP, and Firefighters 1348. We met again just before Thanksgiving, and we are meeting again tomorrow, and each session seems to get closer and closer to a contract, and we hope we hope we get very close tomorrow.
Okay, what about the ASME people?
Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that you're allowed to sit as a Republican and a fan of Dan, a voice and a vote for the mayor? You are being allowed to sit in the negotiations for the police and fire contracts. But when one of the Democrats, I don't know who it was, I think it was Harold Mason, when no, it was not Harold, it was Billy, because Billy got mad about it. Billy went to set in on the AFSCME and the administration threw him out. They would not let him set in on the negotiations. So, okay, interesting. Well, maybe for whatever reason, you're just allowing Basham to do it. No, not only are they not allowing Billy, they're not even having Basham go. So you mean this is letting you know what the administration thinks. They're having him come set in on these negotiations with the police, with the fire, but he's not sitting in on the fire. Now, listen, Jerry says, do you have anything to add about the AFSCME? And listen to what Basham's answer is.
I'm sorry?
What about the ASME people?
I was not asked to sit on that in that session. I think those negotiations began before I was seated on the council. Therefore, I was not invited.
All of these entities have negotiated before you sat on the council, you jackass. You just pick up where you go. The fact that they've negotiated at some point doesn't mean you can't come in the middle. That's such a bullshit answer. And he knows better than that. And I can't believe that's what he would say. Moreover, I cannot believe they allowed him to give that answer. Someone should have called him on that shit.
To sit on those negotiations.
We'll have to find out.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
My name is Aubrey Christ. I'm one of the assistant city attorneys. At our last AFSCME session, their legal counsel let us know that they would be getting back to us on a counteroffer and scheduling for another meeting. We have yet to hear back from them. Our office was going to reach out to them this week. We figured with the holidays last week, just schedules weren't working. So we are reaching out to them this week to see what's going on because we have not heard back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't give us an answer while talking without giving us an answer.
Going on the committee, another committee report is Andrew Dale here tonight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorns ready and sit back because this gets crazy.
Because I'm going to ask him about that property.
Well, good evening. My name is Andrew Dale. I serve as one of your two appointments to the Muncie Redevelopment Commission. As you may recall, back on June 3rd of this year, MRC Commissioner Zane Bishop, your other MRC appointment, provided an update on some of the projects of the MRC. My update tonight won't be an update detailing the disposition of MRC projects. That is something that should be addressed by the city administration or the president of the MRC. Tonight, I'd like to share some observations and make some recommendations to City Council that, if pursued, could go a long way in mitigating concerns that many people, including myself, have about the MRC and its current functions, and that put safeguards in place to protect and maximize the value of taxpayer dollars. Per the MRC's handbook, the main purpose of the MRC is to create opportunities for development
Now-
growth, investment, and jobs.
Before we continue on here, I want you all to listen. See, Alva. Thank you, brother. I want you all to listen very carefully. And I want you to tell me if you think that Andrew Dale is being rude, if you think that he's being out of line, if you think that he's attempting to be rude or whatever. I just want you to listen and tell me, starting now until the counselors start talking, I want you to tell me if you think he was rude. Matter of fact, if he's rude, mark a 2 in the comments. And if he's not rude, if he was polite and doing his job here, put a 1. A 1 for nice, a 2 for rude in the comments.
The focus in the more blighted areas of Muncie. The MRC oversees business development opportunities and is authorized to acquire and dispose of abandoned properties. The duties of the MRC are clear and require due diligence. They include identification of problem areas and community needs, utilization of strategic planning activities, and interaction with policymakers, establishment of goals to address identified problems and needs and opportunities, the acquisition and the conveyance of property, and meeting certain statutory requirements pertaining to annual reporting and planning. Annually, no less than a few million dollars of our economic development income tax dollars and proceeds from long-established tax increment finance districts leverage vastly more private, public, and even nonprofit-based capital. Coupled with an occasional municipal bond issuance and various grants, much more can be achieved. Conversely, a lack of planning or haphazard planning or unilateral decision-making squanders vast amounts of public funds.
MRC, Karen, or anyone else that's asking that might not know, MRC is Muncie Redevelopment Commission. That's what that stands for.
Intended to advance our collective well-being. The tasking of the MRC demands that its work be organized in partnership with our citizens, local officials, policymakers, experts, and constituency groups, and especially those most impacted by the mission of the MRC. Unfortunately, little of this is done presently. Rather, the MRC is a reactive body which primarily approves funding requests for projects brought to the Commission by Mayor Ridenour and Jeff Howe, Director of the MRC, often with little notice and typically void of discussion and scrutiny. For example, the former downtown YMCA was purchased by the MRC for $500,000 on December 20th of 2022. The public bid process, which garnered only one bid from a Colorado-based developer, was squeezed down to a bare minimum of 14 days. The MRC closed on the former YMCA property back this July 11th, and it was closed at an amount of $770,000. Now on par, that sounds good until you factor in that it's a 10-year seller finance sale. The MRC is the bank and holds significant risk. The MRC is to contribute up to $200,000 from the $270,000 gain from the sale towards environmental remediation and or demolition activities. The MRC is to rebate to the developer an amount equal to all property taxes paid over a 5-year period. That's substantial, and it's a slick way of circumventing the property tax abatement process that is the jurisdiction of all of you, City Council. And finally, we're in a hole. For the next several years until a mortgage is paid off and yet determined property tax revenues kick in, what happens if and when future tenants are tax exempt? Some questions arise. Why did Mayor Ridenour, in his capacity as executive director of the MRC, provide a minimum of 14 days to receive only one bid for such an important development project? How did a Colorado-based developer become aware of an MRC property ahead of a public bid notice, while other local and regional developers who might have been interested in submitting a proposal be substantially hindered in participating given the significantly condensed bid process? Why are taxpayers still paying the utilities on the former YMCA property at the tune of approximately $2,000 a month, 5 months after the property was sold? Are taxpayers expected to continue to flip the bill? How does a dollar-for-dollar rebate of property taxes paid over 5 years not equate to a property tax abatement? I've asked some of these questions and have not received adequate answers. What we currently have is a fire, aim, and ready approach to our redevelopment efforts. To protect our citizens and taxpayers, there are a few things City Council could do to help rectify shotgun planning, lackluster results, and poor transparency. First, City Council could pass or revise an ordinance stipulating more conducive durations of time to receive requests for proposals and bids. And if one proposal or bid is received, a mechanism could be put in place to evaluate why a sole bid or proposal should or should not be accepted. Second, City Council could pass an ordinance that ensures that no chief executive or public board or commission can commit edit and TIF funding without first demonstrating compatibility with an adopted strategic plan or a prospective project which has previously been shared with the public and received public input and acknowledged by all of you, the City Council. Third, City Council could pass an ordinance that stipulates the conditions and the demonstrable value for which a property can be sold for a minimal amount of funds or conveyed at no monetary gain. And finally, City Council could pass an ordinance that prohibits a mayor and any other board or commission from rebating, prorating, or delivering any amount of tangible value in exchange for property taxes to be paid without first securing City Council approval. Now, I have other recommendations, but these 4 recommendations I provided will go a long way in curtailing such lavish and dangerous financial incentive practices and put in place a transparent community economic and redevelopment framework that earns the trust of our citizens and our taxpayers. In short, what we need is a ready, aim, and only then fire approach. Thank you.
All right.
Any questions?
So there's that. I want to say this. First of all, I want to reach out to a couple of you who were talking here. He was not rude at all. Stumblefoot says, I like how he carries himself. He said that, Dale is just Dale. He's, always very inquisitive. Yes, I like Andrew. Andrew and I probably would disagree vastly on national politics. Not even probably. I know we do. I know we would. I know we do. We have almost nothing in common nationally. But Andrew is probably one of the best people that I know that is able to compartmentalize politics and realize that when he is on the local level, he's able to keep it at the local level. And I respect that in him. He was not rude here at all. Matter of fact, I don't ever, some of you said, he's to the point. I don't even think he's really to the point. Sometimes when you say like it's to the point, like that can almost be like a gruff exterior. I don't even think he's that way. I think he's just confident in what he says, and he believes in himself, and he has no problem debating someone or going back and forth, but he has, he's sure of himself, and he's going to get it out. And he is a numbers man. He asks questions. He likes asking questions. He likes getting to the bottom of things, and he has a certain way. And I'm not saying that it's always his way is the right way. I'm just saying there's a way that he thinks that things should be done. And he absolutely has a disagreement about doing things if he feels it's, not right, or if, whatever. And so I really respect him for his outlook on local elections. Okay. It's very, I know, Mike, and I know no one was saying anything bad. I mean, you're all speaking good, good for him here. Kate says he's blunt, speaking from his own POV, but yeah, he's not being rude, and that's the thing. Okay. And that's very true. Knowledgeable. I appreciate when someone acts professional. Absolutely. Yeah. Andrew is on it. Council doesn't like it. Their feelings of guilt make them feel like they just had their asses dragged to the grinder for additional training. I bet council chewing their cud. Yeah. So here's what's interesting. So he's obviously a Democrat appointment. So the Democrat people on council, they feel confident with him. But I don't even think the Republicans should have any kind. Listen, I'm going to put it to you this way. What he said, he didn't say anything bad about the council. He aimed his words at the Ridenhour administration And he told the council there are steps you can take to make sure that we as the MRC are doing better and we can do better work. And I'm just asking you guys to take these steps. Now, listen, this is weird. I got to ask what this is about.
I want to bring something up. You mentioned a couple things that kind of
Ro Selvey wants to bring something up. Now, I got to tell you, Ro and I are friends, and Ro has done a really good job as of late on things. She's completely off track here. I don't even know what she's doing here. I don't think she followed anything that he said, and I sure as hell don't understand what she's getting at. All right, let's listen.
rubbed me the wrong way, and I'll just be honest with you.
Sure.
You talked about blighted, due diligence. You said strategic planning. You said acquisition, which my question is regarding acquisition right now towards lack of planning impacted by the mission of the MRC. At your last meeting, there was a property on Walnut Street. Why did you vote for the MRC not to acquire the property and get a hold of it so we know what's built? I'm not done. Especially across of Muncie Central High School. So if we are talking about planning, and as a teacher, I am very upset about that. Yeah. You had the opportunity as an MRC person to decide what goes across that. And I've got news for you. I don't think you're going to like what is going to go across from that, because I'm sure you're going to come up here and you are going to oppose it. But you had every.
What is going across from Central? Is there anybody that's aware of what's going across from Central? To my knowledge, what's going across from Central, I need to reach out to Roe, because I don't understand this. What's going across from Central, to my belief, in my realm of understanding, is townhomes. I was just talking to my grandparents about this on Thanksgiving. I was at Thanksgiving, and like happens, I get people who come up that are out in the world, but amazingly, what's really weird to me is when I find out that kind of like family members, like distant family members, like cousins and second cousins and third cousins and fourth cousins, and their boyfriends and girlfriends watch the show. That weirds me out. And so I'm like in the food line, and I get a cousin that comes up and says, "Hey, what about these apartments they're building?" And I just think that's really strange to me. I'm like, "Are you talking to me? Like, you don't certainly watch this shit, do you?" No, I'm very pleased, very happy that they do. Yeah, right here it is. Here is what's going across from Central. I don't understand what she's talking about at all. Here's the vacant lot here, and here's the townhomes. I don't think you're gonna like what's going across. What? Why? Why would we not like this?
Because this is another one of Dan's bright ideas, and we saw what happened the last time with our cute little bungalows that got turned into pole barns. So, she could be rightfully angry and upset about, the potential of what's going to be going in there, because I don't think it's probably going to look like those pretty pictures.
Sure. Sure. But this would be like me getting mad at you for your next door neighbor selling his house to another person. She's mad at Dale for someone in the private sector buying property from someone in the private sector. This had the MRC, it wasn't like something that Andrew Dale just chose not to do anything about. There are 5 MRC commission members, and the Republicans people didn't do it. No one did anything with it. Even if it was something that Andrew voted no on, normally he can vote no, and the rest of them vote yes. This made very little sense to me. I'm going to have to reach out to Roe and find out what exactly she was upset about here, because this made zero sense in what she was doing. Like I felt very uncomfortable watching this. All right, let's continue on.
Opportunity to take control of it, and you did not.
Well, to answer your question, Commissioner or Councilmember Selvey, truthfully, I have my own standards to live by and to govern by. I believe in first right of refusals. I don't believe in obtaining appraisals and getting in the way of the public sector before the public sector has an opportunity to venture into that opportunity. I don't believe that government is the solution most of the time.
But you're asking us to do all this. You're asking
No, I didn't ask you to do that at all.
make all these restrictions. You're talking from two ends.
No, I don't think I am. I think in that particular
I
instance,
don't know what Roe completely missed. Roe was set up by somebody here. Roe was set off by something wonky is happening right here, and she's attacking him because he is attacking Dan, and I don't like that, because Roe has not been like that in quite some time, and I hope that she doesn't get back on that path, because she's better when she's a council person unto herself and not there to be a watchdog for Dan Ridenauer.
the commission was presented with the opportunity to get appraisals. We debated that. It was listened to, and actually appraisals were not sought on that property. Mr. Howard, director, came back and stated that he thought it was wise to let the private sector do its work. And I think that's exactly what's happening. Why should government get in the way of the private sector? So I'm a little confused by your question, but I understand your
All right.
intent. I can
Well,
tell you
I'm
that.
sure this will be a topic to be discussed
sure.
later, and I'm expecting you not to be out here complaining about what's going on in there.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm providing
Okay, I
solutions.
mean, in the future, because I'm not happy with what's going on in there. And you had an opportunity as the person appointed by this council to take charge of that property and make some good decisions. And in my opinion, I'm sorry, I'm a teacher. It's Muncie Central.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
confused.
Okay.
Why-
Well,
the
come
reason
on.
I-
Okay, we'll leave that for the
the reason
future,
I'm
and
confused
we'll
is
let the-
because
we'll let
the
the
reason I'm
citizens
confused,
decide.
Ms. Elby, is the fact that the entire commission didn't go forward with any decision on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Green?
Yes, I'd like to have a copy, if you don't mind, of the 4 items that you mentioned
Sure.
that were key.
I'll get them to you.
I'd appreciate
You
that.
got it.
Thank you.
You got it.
You're welcome.
Any other? Sure. I'll provide them to anybody who wants them. Well, thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate your ears.
Thank you.
And we have a miracle out there on White River Boulevard. They've got started on the skating rink.
That was
skating
so
rink
weird.
for
That was
kids out there.
so
It's
strange.
way
Okay,
past due, but
moving
they're
on
making real progress on it. So
here.
I applaud them for getting started on that right away.
All right, next up is
Been over a
Craig
year.
Wright.
We got to live a while.
Good evening. A couple things I wanted to point out on the salary ordinance. We're going to amend the elected official or the appointed officials on here to reflect the budget cuts that you made. And I will tell you this, that the salary ordinance is not going to 100% reflect the budget. It just can't, because you have so many variables that go into it. It just sets a ceiling for it. A couple other things that we would like to, because I know you're probably wanting to see those adjustments, and I will get those to you. The deputy controller, we are going to live by the budgets on everything, exactly the way the council set the budget.
So they're going to live by the budget. So the deputy controller is not funded. The deputy mayor is not funded, and the communications director is not funded. The deputy mayor is already gone. He is now the HR director of the sanitary district. And then we had the weird thing where Dustin Clark quit being the Prairie Creek director, and he's now a contract person. The weird thing is he keeps coming up to City Hall. Let me tell you what's going on with Dustin. Dustin keeps coming up to City Hall. He's like, well, where's my desk? What's happening? Well, in the contract that Dan signed with Greenlight Resources back in November of 2023, it says that the city will provide office space internet and other essentials to complete the tasks, including access to a copier to greenlight personnel upon advanced notice of 24 hours. So it's interesting to me because like he keeps coming up there and like they've got no place to put him. And there's kind of this weird standoff between Dustin and Dan. And it's like neither one really wants to ask the other one what's going on or talk to the other one about what's happening. It's really strange what is going on with Dustin. And it's going to come to a head here eventually. We're going to have to find out. Again, you see right there in right under in letter E, hourly rate will be $125 per hour. So if this is, in fact, the contract they're going to go by, Dustin is going to be getting paid. He's going to be making far more money than Richard Ivey did to be the mayor's bitch. And that's ridiculous. So just FYI. Now listen to what Craig Wright says here. Craig Wright says they're going to live by the way that the council wanted them to do it, but they are going to keep the deputy controller and the communications director on because what, why, how's it going to happen? What's going on? How are they going to get paid?
So that will be adhered to. The deputy controller, as far as we want you to keep that and the communications director on the salary ordinance, but they will not be funded through the general fund. We have, they are important positions and we are going to fund those through edit funds. So that way it doesn't affect the budget. And also with, it'll be the next one that you will be talking about, ordinance 34-24, the same there. We'll make adjustments to what, for the elected officials to what was passed or what you passed.
Edit.
Mr. Wright, could you make sure that Park Superintendent, Program Director, and the Urban Forester are the correct amounts?
Yes.
And not the one. Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
And I mean,
that was on.
yeah, that's fine. And as far as I'll work on those this week and make sure I get those out to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bassett?
I'm sorry, I did not understand that question. Could you go into greater detail, council person?
The Park Superintendent, Program Director, and Urban Forester, the actual numbers, the deductions, when we read them off in the long
Yeah.
pages, the new number that I read was incorrect.
Okay.
And so we were correcting
Okay,
that.
thank you. Thank you.
I have a question. Was that in your last report that you sent today? Is that
That
what
was,
you're
no,
referring
that
to?
was what the report that was the budget.
Okay.
the
So
budget
and you're gonna
estimates.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're good.
The
Okay.
report-
Thank you. That's okay.
The report that was sent today is actually an income expense report. It's
Okay.
not necessarily the budget.
And we need to give the guy a
Sorry.
24-hour. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So in the future, I did send an email out that we need to give you. Would you appreciate 24-hour notice before you get asked to turn in
Yeah,
a report?
I read that. And
Okay.
I was at meetings this afternoon.
Well,
so
I
This is
assumed
that's-
that
so
was the
weird.
holidays.
This is so weird. Now Rose taking up for him. Something's happened where she's now back to kind of taking up for the administration, and I that's not a good look for her.
And everything else, you would need a 24-hour notice. Thank you.
Well, and I believe by city ordinance, that's supposed to be provided to us monthly anyway. So
Okay.
if we.
Oh, that's no problem. I
We
don't
just
have
want
an
to have
issue with it.
a standing order to have that sent to the council members before every meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'll agree to that.
Anyone else?
Absolutely. Doing it the right way.
Anyone from the
Doing
audience?
it the right way.
And that's the performance review.
What we got today.
Okay.
That's right. Thank you.
Moving on.
Hello, just a couple items, some proposed amendments that I have. in
Okay,
the
we've
fifth-
got a question
believe is,
from the
introductory paragraph, which
audience
isn't
about edit.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Edgel, and I'm from Muncie. I have a question about edit funds since it was brought up in this area. So are those just given to the mayor in the budget, and then he chooses how that works, or where he spends them on, or is each expense in the edit fund appropriated first? Anyone?
Mayor, you-
Like I'm there.
Well, I noticed when I did my research that some cities don't allow that, and they allow things to be, yeah, if you can answer it for me.
And I
Yeah,
think
that'd
Matt
be
might
great.
be able to confirm this for me, but I believe that the total amount, just a set amount, is appropriated so that the mayor can spend it. but he has to spend it in accordance with the capital improvement plan, which is filed. I can't remember
Every 2 years.
every 2 years, I believe. But yeah, actually approving each expenditure
And
is
is
not
that done
something within the
differently
council's authority.
in other places? There's all kinds of ways to do that
I'm not
correctly.
familiar with what other cities do. I can tell you it's largely governed by state law.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Am I correct that the council has no oversight over?
Yes, you're
procedures or-
correct.
That's
You're
right.
correct.
That's
You're
right.
correct. He's off the hook. He's off the hook.
Anyone else wishing to talk? Roll call, please.
Okay, now we get into some craziness.
Basham?
Yes.
McIntosh?
Yes.
Selby?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Mason? Garrett?
Yeah.
Lillian?
Yes.
Ordinance 37-24.
Ordinance 37-24, an ordinance of the city of Muncie establishing Title 9, Chapter 40, Chapter 41, Chapter 42, and Chapter 43 of the city of Muncie Code of Ordinances entitled Code of Ethics.
Is there a
Here's the
motion to
Code of
approve
Ethics
ordinance
ordinance. Now
37-24?
listen to this.
Second.
Anyone to speak on this tonight?
Hi, Aubrey Chris, Assistant City.
Here is one of the attorneys for the mayor's administration. So this attorney is for the mayor.
Attorney again. Before your meeting, I handed out a packet of information for you. It includes all the notes. I believe Dan Gibson had already sent to you, but I wanted to make sure that you had our language as well. It just goes through what the legal department is recommending in terms of changes. And then attached to that is also the email that we had received from Ames Legal Counsel that outlines what their concerns were, which Dan did address most of those concerns. So if anyone has questions for me, I'm here to answer those.
Mr. Basham?
When you say address most of those concerns, could you go into greater detail?
There are some concerns that Dan and I, as an attorney, we can't make that decision for our client. So as you're looking through that, there are some changes that we call them substantive changes. We can't, as attorneys, decide that for our clients. So that's what I mean by he wasn't able to make those changes.
Anyone else from the, Mr. Green?
I have a question. Once these changes have been made, has AIM been contacted and how do they feel about these changes?
They haven't seen all of the updates and what we are recommending. My understanding is they haven't seen an updated ordinance. I could reach out to them, but I don't believe the legal counsel has received a copy. Dan, did you?
I spoke to that attorney today and they had not. I spoke to that attorney today and they had not received
Okay.
anything yet.
She didn't indicate that she was expecting one. I mean, they really have no oversight.
Yeah, she didn't mention it in the call that Dan and I had with her that she wanted a copy. So
Okay.
Mr. Gibson, what do you think about this? This thing she handed out tonight?
I addressed this in my summary that I sent you all over the weekend. Like I said, there are, some of the changes have been made in the proposed amendments that I'll get to here shortly once we figure out where we're going from here. Some of the other things I don't really have an opinion on one way or the other. They're not legally required for you to make those changes for this to be enforceable, but they are, substantive changes you want to make, then by all means you are permitted to do so.
Anybody else?
Yeah, after the two ladies speak, I would suggest to send this to the Government Affair Committee how do you feel about that? As a co-sponsor, I would like to send it to the Governmental Affair Committee so they can make the final decision if it's agreeable with all of you. Just to kind of settle things.
Listen,
I'm also a co-sponsor.
Roe,
and
a
I'm
Republican,
not-
wants to table this and send it to a committee to look into it. Now, this code of ethics thing has been floating around since April of last year. It's been done since September of this year. They've had it. They wanted to come out with this, I guess, 2 months ago, but the administration asked them not to because they wanted to have more time with it. Let me tell you where we are. And so this is not necessarily understandable here. And I've talked to people from behind the scenes on this. The Republicans, Ridenhour, and the Republicans on the council do not want to go ahead with this the way that it is, because it's telling them they can't do certain things, like they can't do they can't get some political donations for running for re-election if they're currently an elected official for the city of Muncie. It's telling them that you can't go and be a vendor or a contract employee with the city of Muncie while being employed or an elected official. And you can't be that for like 10 years after leaving office. And they're saying, oh no, this is too crazy. Well, the Republicans are saying, like, we want to get rid of this stuff, or, we don't even need this or whatever. And the Democrats are like, no, you guys have had this. We've all known it's coming. We want it. Everyone is demanding more accountability, more transparency, more communication, more ethical behavior from elected officials. And so just listen to the weird back and forth between these people as they're going back and forth on this. How strange this seems to be, and how strange they're making this. It's so weird. Okay, so let's continue on with this here. Sorry, hold on. I've got the spinning ball of death. Give me a second. All right, here we go.
Against that per se, but I do feel like there's been plenty of time. This, commission has been working on this for months and has been really transparent about it and really open about it.
Yeah.
I know some of these questions came over the holidays, but so again, I'm not necessarily against it, but I mean, I'm a little disappointed that we're, can't just go ahead and pass this.
Yeah, I agree with Councilperson Gullion. Yes, it was very thorough, and this is my decision to send it that way to the Governmental Affair Committee. I want to go.
Not your
record. It's
decision.
no reflection on the committee people.
You get to ask
but
it.
just
It's
seems
not
that
your
we have
decision.
varying, differences of opinion, and I think we have a committee as a council that's in charge of that, and I would be comfortable going by the recommendation of the Governmental Affair Committee.
Mr. President, are you suggesting, Councilperson Selby, that we table this for a month before we approve or not? Is that what you're recommending?
Yeah, I send it to the Governmental Affair Committee and let them make that decision. And I don't want to say a month because
Oh.
the president of the committee has to set times and it's public hearings. Yes.
Is that the?
I don't want to put a timetable on it.
I'm with you. No, of course not. Okay.
You don't have to put a time limit on it, but that would be the appropriate.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your?
I would like to table it.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything on?
Do you have any more questions for me?
Yeah, motion to table for maybe.
Yeah. Okay, roll call, please.
Powell,
No.
Selby.
Yes.
Gullion,
No.
Garrett,
No.
McIntosh,
No.
Basham,
Yes.
Mason,
No.
Green.
I have a question. Am I allowed to make a statement before I vote? No.
They tell him no. Yes, he is. These people need so much help. They need to not ask questions. Yes, he is allowed to say, I'm going to vote, but before I do, I want to state something for the record. He is absolutely allowed to do that. Absolutely allowed to do that. And I don't know if they told him no, and then he acts befuddled. He should. I'm telling you, I can't believe that we are in December and these people still don't know what they are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do. It blows my mind.
It's okay.
I know I'm holding things up.
All right.
He says yes, Jerry says no. What Roe wanted fails.
Yes.
No.
That's 3 yeses.
So it's 3 yeses to table and 6 no's. So they march on.
Mr. President, may I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Now?
Now.
Okay. I think this is too important to make a mistake. That's what I'm concerned with. I want to make sure we get it right for the city of Muncie, for all officials that work for the city, all the elected officials, all the employees. I don't want us to have a problem. Can we still send this off with the new amendments and changes that have been made to get the verification, as Councilwoman Roselvi has asked, to see where we stand, to make sure we don't have to make more changes to that? Can we do that?
Send it to what?
It's too late, I think. No.
Send a matter to a committee.
Now, here's the thing. Roe wanted to send it to the
So we could still do that and get
the
the,
governmental committee, which is made up of 3 council members on a committee. What Green is talking about is Green wants to send it to AIM. These people don't even know what each other are talking about.
input on what it is. Because I know that they have worked with all the other cities that have these, the ethics ordinances put forth. And I want to make sure, I would like to see AIM have it. Because that's my opinion. But I want to make sure that we do it right. I don't want to have to make changes, go back and forth. I want it done
That's
right
what
the
your
first
job
time.
is.
They worked too hard
Yeah.
on this
They did.
to mess it up. You know, I don't want anything to be wrong with it. That's how I feel. And I want it to go forward.
Why weren't they doing this 3 months ago?
One thing,
I'll tell
the
you
concerns that were raised by AIM, I believe, have all been addressed or determined to be not necessary changes.
Okay.
The things that have not been made, well, once I recommend these amendments that I sent to you over the weekend. The other items are suggestions from the administration's legal counsel that are not directly coming from AIM. They're just items that they would like to see. And so
it's
obviously we
things
can
that the
still send this to
administration
AIM
wants
and nothing prevents you from
keep that in
considering
mind.
amendments in the future.
Okay.
So yeah, I just want to make sure that was clear.
Just for legal
Yeah,
counsel.
Eric. can you
Just
leave
so
it?
that I can understand, in your opinion, and with your communication with the city attorneys, do you believe that their points are valid from a legal standpoint? And would you see why we would want to send it to AIM? I mean, what is your professional opinion? You are our guide here.
Again, AIM's, all of their issues have been addressed or determined, and correct me if I'm wrong, Aubrey, or determined by the both of us to not be necessary to fix. There was just things pointed out that were not to be, didn't need to be changed. What Ms. Chris passed out also included suggestions from the administration that did not directly come from AIM. And those are items that, you know,
How do you feel about those changes? That's
I've
my
given you my
question.
thoughts on those, but at the end of the day, I don't think they are necessary for this to be a legal and enforceable ordinance moving forward. If they are items that changes you want to make, that is your decision as the legislative body.
This is crazy.
Before we go any further, I would like to at least get on the record the suggested changes that come from our conversations with AIM.
Okay.
And if you bear with me for a minute, I think it's important to read these into the record. Again, I sent a red line version out.
Now, what
but in
AIM
section
wants changed is not that
40.04B,
important.
Could you give us page numbers?
page 5.
Thank you.
In subsection B, which bleeds on to page 6, I recommend adding at the end of that section, which governs how many meetings one can attend virtually, to add that the limitation does not apply unless the electronic participation is due to military service, illness, or other medical condition, death of a relative, or an emergency involving actual or
Obviously.
threatened injury to persons or property. That suggestion comes directly from the state statute on virtual attendance at meetings. In section 40.12 on page 10, 40.12B3, I recommend adding contracts before rules or policy. On page 11, 40.14, I recommend adding at the end, in accordance with chapter 43 of the Code of Ordinances. In section 41.01B on page 11, I recommend adding after shall be for a term of 3 years, commencing on January 1st of the effective year of appointment. Just to make it clear, the terms of the commission start on January 1st.
Right.
In section 41.05 on page 13, I recommend adding a sentence at the end that says all documents received or generated by the Ethics Commission that relate to an employee shall become a part of that employee's official personnel file maintained by the city. That was a recommendation that I believe came from the public access counselor. In section 43.01 on page 16, in B, C, and D, recommend adding after corporation counsel or corporation counsel's designee. Under state law, corporation counsel is a specific
all
person,
fairly
one of the
minor
city
shit.
attorneys. And this would
And
allow
this
him
is not
to
the big deal.
have others in
The
his
big
office
deal is
conduct
getting
that
ready
training.
to come.
On page 17, under section 2, I recommend adding at the end a sentence that says, however, the enforcement procedure and timeline set.
Here we go.
And Mr. Gibson, returning to the conversation before you entered into record your changes to
Listen to this.
Public comment,
maybe?
Public comment. I apologize.
This is really big. You're getting ready to hear from Micah Wilson, a former employee of Dan Ridenhour's, the old HR director, who did not like me, but we seem to see things on the same page now. And I have got to hand it to her. This was a badass move, what she did here.
Discussion still.
Listen to this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Michael Wilson. I'm the former personnel director for the city of Muncie. I left my position because of ethics concerns.
Listen to this. Wow.
I advised the Ethics Commission on the training, and I actually developed and gave training on how to address ethical concerns to every single employee of the city of Muncie. I was highly disappointed that the training lacked what it needed to actually hold people accountable for what they signed and understood to be right. I commend every single one of you on this council tonight for taking this part very seriously. I also urge you to vote in favor of this tonight. I understand this is a work in progress. I also work in the private sector. When we do things in the private sector, sometimes you have to learn as you go. And it's okay, as long as what you're intending to do is what's best for everybody. And when we talk about ethics, it's what's best for everybody. It's not what's best for one person or their friends. It's what's best for the citizens of Muncie, which is transparency, which is accountability, which is honesty. I was honest and I did the right thing, but I won't work for people who don't.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Elizabeth Edgel, I served on the board.
Wow.
committee,
Wow.
Advisory committee.
So she gets up, first of all, and she says, the very first thing she says is, there were things that were going on that were unethical, and I won't work for people who aren't doing the right thing. That's amazing. And look at her face. Dude, she is a boss. I'm very proud of her. I'm very happy that she did that. She's a badass.
I have a question and a comment. My question is, why 3 months after we voted on this is this just now happening? To begin with, Micah did do good work. I wasn't there the day that she came to the meeting. I had a doctor's appointment. But first off, an entity cannot write their own ethics. that just doesn't work. And that's kind of what was happening with the city, which is why this came about. We didn't have anything on the books. And without it, I think we all know, I've talked on this before, the history of Muncie and how we got here. And if we don't understand where we're coming from, we don't know where we're going. And my comment is, there's been months since we finished this. And with some of these changes that I saw, I was floored. This is the first time I saw them today. And I voted on this 3 months ago. And if it changes, it's not what I voted on. Just so you know that. I'm not going to be happy with that at all. And this is my first time serving on a board. And it's been very interesting, to say the least. Thank you for listening to everybody. I appreciate it.
Now here comes Jeff Robinson. This is interesting.
Good evening, Council. President Dishman, Jeff Robinson, resident, City of Muncie. I spoke last month encouraging you all to vote in favor of this ordinance. I still stand firmly in support of this ordinance as well. I also want to remind you all, when it comes to AIM is the Association of Indiana Municipalities. Okay, it is not a member of state government. It is there to advise municipalities on a wide range of things. So putting that much weight into AIM, I think, is dangerous. Okay, so that's first and foremost. Secondly, and I believe Ms. Edgel before me mentioned, this has been in the administration's hands since September. Okay, we're now in December. And Mr. Basham, Councilman Basham, with all due respect, you didn't reach out to AIM's attorney until you mentioned today. I think to table this and move it forward, or to for those of you who voted to table this and push it off yet again, is a little concerning, to be quite honest. I don't know if you didn't read it, if you didn't understand it, if you didn't. I know Mr. Gibson sends legal summaries. I'm sure that he briefed you on all of these potential changes and recommendations.
Now, you heard what Jeff said. He said, I don't know if you didn't read this. He didn't accuse anybody of not reading it. He said, I don't know if you didn't read it.
By AIM ahead of the meeting. So it's disappointing to say the least that we would try to table this and move it forward, or to continue to kick this can down the road. When I brought resolution 6-23 last April, just like Ms. Wilson, I also had concerns. Being an elected city council member and city council president for 3 years, I brought this because I had concerns. Quite frankly, it's why I ran in 2019 for city council, because I was concerned that we didn't have ethical government. That's why this ordinance is before you, because it is needed. It is needed. And I want to commend Micah.
I just wish you had proposed it 2 years.
I wish I had to. I wish I had to. Better late than never. But I do want to commend Micah. It takes a ton of courage to stand against your boss, to stand against people in a city who hold some power. It takes a lot of courage to do that, and even more courage to come up here after the fact and stand in support of this ethics ordinance. So I would give Micah a tremendous amount of respect and thank her for being here tonight, and to thank her for having such integrity that she would leave a job that she cared about for these reasons. So I would encourage you again to vote yes. Everyone is watching. Everyone is watching. You want to vote against ethics? Then I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Now listen to Roe.
I'd like to respond to that if I may. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
All right, listen to Roe. All right. I don't know if Roe was just on one tonight.
Okay. Two things that you said that bothered me. I don't know if some of you that have read it, you're wrong. Some of us have read it and been to several meetings as some.
I don't understand if it. I don't understand. Like I am really starting to worry that she's not. I don't understand. I don't understand how someone can get up there and Jeff can. I mean, Jeff wasn't mumbling. He spoke clearly. He was enunciating.
I'm sorry. I have a question for you, Christopher.
Yeah.
So what month is this? What month are we in? December. What does the council do in January?
Elect a president.
Ding, ding, ding.
You think that's what she's doing?
Yep. Trying to prove that she's large and in charge. I think that's what it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. There's too many Democrats. That would be a wild showdown between her and Nora. Whoa, that would be crazy. That very well could be. You could be right. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. That very well could be. Very well could be. Listen. All right. So listen to what she says here, finishing this up.
Committee members. So I take offense to that. And council is on there. Second
She
of all,
takes offense to something that wasn't even said.
Everyone is watching. Well, as Councilman Green said, we want to get it right. And as the comment that I made earlier, this has nothing to do with the work they've done. It's just we've got information from city legal and from our council, and we want to get it right. It's not saying that it's not needed. I don't think anyone here would vote against it. I'm looking around. I don't think any council member here is going to vote against it.
I'm glad.
But he does send us legal stuff, and we got stuff from the city attorney. So I just want to make it clear that I co-sponsored that. I've been to those meetings. I've participated. I've had conversations with Mr. Taylor. I've had conversation with a lot. So I take offense to say that people are watching. Everyone here wants that for the city of Muncie.
Yep.
And I just want to go on the record saying that,
True.
So I'm sure
You're
everybody
always
here
on
has
record.
read it.
You're a
I'm
city council
sure.
person.
But when you get, as a council person, you're trying to make sure that everything is done right, and you get information from city attorney, from your council, and they kind of don't match. You try to find. I, for myself, would have loved for it to gone to the governmental affair. I'm not on that committee, but I do trust the council persons who are on that committee can come back. I trust them that they can come back and give me the best recommendation. So I don't think the criticism is fair, because we're trying to do the right thing.
Okay.
And I appreciate everything you've done. I know how hard you've worked on it. And I am in support of this. And I just wanted to make that clear, because it just made us sound like we don't care and we're against ethic. And that's not true.
That's right.
If President Dishman would allow me to respond. I'm sorry if you took offense to my question that I questioned if some of you had read it. I apologize. It was a rhetorical question.
Thank you.
Not directed at anyone specifically. I said I question if you read it. So I do apologize if there was any offense taken to that, certainly. And I think I understand as former council president for 3 years up until this year, I fully understand the role and the job and the procedure of council members. And I fully understand that that the suggested changes from AIM had come several weeks ago. I do know that, I communicate with council members. I know what's going on with this ordinance. I know what has been going on with this ordinance. And when I say that people are watching, that's just a statement of fact, right? I mean, the citizens of Muncie have screamed for years for ethical government. Do you agree with that, Councilwoman Selby? So I think to say that that everyone is watching how you vote, I think that's just a statement of fact, because if someone were to vote against more ethical government, more integrity, more accountability, more transparency in local government, then I think people would take notice. So I apologize if that seemed, I forget how you characterized that, maybe as a threat.
Did I say that?
Certainly wasn't a threat. Certainly wasn't a criticism, more or less just a statement of fact.
I don't think I used the word threat.
Okay,
but
well, that's why I said I
apologize.
wasn't sure the word you used. I prefaced that. So, but thank you very much, President Dishman. I appreciate it very much.
Hi, I'm Chip Taylor. I was the chair of the Ethics Advisory Committee. I'm just speaking as a Muncie citizen now. I don't speak on behalf of the whole committee. I will say, I didn't expect, and I don't think other committee members expected, that our submission would necessarily be, the final word before it was passed. Okay, we figured there would likely be some clarifying revisions. Dan shared with me, the non-substantive changes that came about in response to the discussion with AIM, the discussion with the administration attorney and whatnot. I think, I don't think they change anything that the committee was trying to accomplish with that ordinance. We even beyond that, we knew that the council, they might wish, I'll speak for myself. I knew the council may wish to amend, what we presented. The administration might suggest some amendments for you to consider as well. In fact, the committee invited the administration to provide feedback while the ordinance was being developed twice. We'd have welcomed the administration's engagement in our efforts. Some of these issues, the substantive issues, they could have been discussed then.
We're almost done, people.
In any event, we would probably still be looking at final things here. So something similar review has been conducted. I would point out, I hope that if you're contemplating making additional changes after if this is enacted in its currently amended form, and you do want to contemplate other changes, I hope you do so at a committee hearing. I think those substantive changes should probably be, the administration's attorney would have a chance to come and express all their concerns. They could be discussed in a public forum rather than in emails. With the council's representatives on that committee, the committee could decide, what changes they wanted to recommend to the full council and have Dan draft those. And so, because I think part of what's happened since here, they sort of started, looking at, AIM pointed out kind of some procedural things to look at, and they started on that. And then like there were some issues, some substantive issues raised, and then some additional substantive issues raised. And, that's the council's job, right? And so just an example of sort of thing I think would be good, to discuss in public. I don't know exactly what you were sent from the administration's attorney. I've seen some of the recommendations, concerns they've raised. And one proposal would weaken the restrictions on political activity that are in the proposed ordinance. Okay. In my opinion, that would be a mistake. Those changes wouldn't just weaken the ordinance compared to the way we wrote it. It would be much weaker than the administration's own rules that they impose on employees now. There is much in that ordinance was based on the administration's own rules that they developed for their employees that Michael Wilson shared with us early, our first substantive meeting, the first meeting we discussed anything. I told her I started tonight. I said, we copied a lot of your homework. It's like there was a lot of it's good in there. We formalized it, put it into an ordinance form, and where needed, we expanded it to cover elected officials and things that you can't cover with just HR rules. But basically, the part of the ordinance that covers political activity by employees and appointed officials, they're subject to the same restrictions under the administration's own rules now. So I'm not sure why they proposed weakening them. As far as the elected officials, which is the place where we extended, we merely put the same restrictions on soliciting political contributions that we put on employees. We felt that what's fair for the goose is fair for the gander, right? So basically what I'm saying, I hope if you want to consider additional changes, and I'm not saying, you do need additional changes, they should be discussed in public at that committee meeting, and not be having like the attorneys emailing stuff back and forth. Because my understanding that your attorney can advise you all, but he can't agree to changes, right? I was on the committee. You all have the ordinance now. I think we gave you a good one. I'm not going to tell you it's perfect and shouldn't be touched in any way. Okay. But, I think if you go ahead and pass this, you can start appointing commissioners. You can still schedule, meetings. And if there are if there are changes you want or changes that the administration can persuade you are needed, none of the ordinances are carved in stone. We turned this over in September. The administration asked for a delay. We thought that was fine. Another delay. I don't know. It's the community has been asking for something like this for quite some time. I think you can go ahead and pay off on that promise. And if it needs to be amended, it can be amended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask a question of Dr. Taylor, if I may.
Certainly.
Dr. Taylor, I appreciate very much your effort and all that you've done for the committee and writing this. AIM does have you listed. I know they said don't take AIM as all that they say, but I'll tell you this, they have you listed as an expert in ethics.
Oh.
I don't know if you knew that or not, but I read that from them, and I appreciate their confidence in you. We have confidence in you, and I want you to know that. Do you feel comfortable in the different things that have been mentioned tonight that we have adopted for change?
Yeah, the red line amendments, those were none of those were substantive. I think they clarify some things.
Push them
I think they're going to make it more workable, especially the ones sort of delaying any actual processing of complaints.
We are considering these issues as earnestly as a city council should.
Oh,
Thank you.
good.
All right, thank you.
Now listen to Micah
Thank you.
again.
I just want to also mention that, yes, when we did just get those yesterday, but when this was first brought to us, and I was asked to co-sponsor, we were asked to
I don't
co-sponsor
like.
and we went ahead, the city wanted another month to review that. So they got that. I was going to introduce us a month earlier. So they did ask for it. We did agree because, we did want input. So they did have that month, yeah.
Well, congratulations. You're in your first year on council and you're already doing something big. So congratulations. And the reason I came back up here is probably to bring some clarification on the training itself. The training that I adopted primarily came from the Inspector General's office of the state of Indiana. It addresses ethics from a standpoint of legal obligation, which is in the Indiana code. So ethics is pretty simple. Every single person on this council takes an oath of office and has an obligation to that very same Indiana code. Therefore, sending it to a government affairs committee, and I understand, Ro, why you suggest that. I do understand it. But you are all government affairs experts for the entire city of Muncie. This right here does not belong in a subsection of the council. It belongs exactly where it's at, and that's in every single one of your plates and in every single one of your inboxes when a citizen or employee has a concern. Because that is your place. That is your role. You are the democratically elected body that is here to protect the citizens of Muncie. And you serve every 4 years. Unfortunately, I think it should be every 2. I think that maybe 4 years is an awful long time to decide to get in trouble. But we're not going to decide that with an ethics bill today, are we? So thank you. And I just wanted to bring that clarification.
Thank you.
I really respect her for getting up and saying all this stuff.
Points that have been made. When our office looks at this proposed ordinance, we have to look at it as if we're going to prosecute. So when I look through the language in here, I want to make sure that when someone files a complaint, that I can win in court. And some of the language, I can't if it fits in that scenario. So I want to make sure that this is ready to go so that once the commission is formed and they receive a complaint, I can move forward with that in court. So I just wanted to clarify that that's the reasoning behind most of this.
Did she just admit that she's rigging the paperwork so that way she can win in court, even if somebody files a complaint? She just said that, didn't she?
Yeah.
I'm writing the paperwork in a way, I'm writing this ordinance in a way that nobody can actually win against the city filing an ethics complaint.
Yeah, so I think, Kate, because I listened to that and I tossed it over. And I think what she's saying, because the first time I heard her say that during the meeting, I was like, my exact emotions were what you were saying right there. I think what she's saying is coming from the point of view of, if let's say, for the sake of argument, someone blames Dustin for something and says that Dustin's doing something wrong, and the city then does an investigation based on what the ethics ordinance and the ethics commission does, and the city then investigates him and finds out he does something wrong, and they then terminate him based off that, and he then sues the city, it would be up to her to fight Dustin on behalf of the city. And so I'm maybe giving her the benefit of the doubt in thinking that. I would like to know exactly what she's saying there. So amazingly, what Stumblefoot just asked, I'm going to reach out to Amber tomorrow, and I'm going to have Amber reach out to Aubrey Christ and get a clarification on what that statement was that she made, because she either said exactly what you just thought, which is exactly what I just thought that first time that I heard it, or trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. And she's not somebody that I necessarily like. I don't particularly care for Aubrey Christ, but I believe that it might be, in the way that she is saying, if she has to take on a citizen, take on an employee that they fire due to an ethics breach, that it's written in a way that she couldn't win. The employee would win. But I don't know. She's going to have to clarify that, because the way she worded it was weird. And I'm with every one of you that heard it weird. Every one of you that thinks what she said was weird, I'm there. I heard it. I'm there. I heard it with you. I'm just trying to give her the benefit of the doubt when she probably doesn't even deserve it. But I will check back in the next couple days, because I'm going to take care of that tomorrow. All right, we're almost done here. I promise. Give me 5 more minutes, 6 more minutes, and we'll be done here.
Anyone else wishing to talk? Anybody from the audience? Okay.
All right. Here's the vote. Now listen, one of the guys on the end, I don't know if it was, I can't tell by their voice if it was Mason or if it was Billy. It says, "What are we doing?" One of them says that every vote. What are we doing? My God, this council has to get it together. What are we doing? What are we voting on? This council is so bumbling and so just.
We have a motion.
Question.
Roll call, please.
For what?
For what?
Yes.
To adopt.
Selby?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
McIntosh?
Yes.
Basham?
Yes.
Billion?
Yes.
Dishman?
Yes.
9 yes.
9 yeses. They all voted for it. No one wanted to be the person to vote against it. Now, I just want to say this, because this is what kills me. Oh, I got to wait till Kate gets back, because she's got to hear this. I don't know if she can hear me or not. Kate stepped away for a second. So she's back. I was watching this on our feed. I was watching this on the city's YouTube page. I was watching this on the city's communications page. And the only person I saw commenting on any of the city stuff was Troy Tackett. And during that whole big thing, Troy Tackett said this: "Just another clown show. Shake my head." I said, "Troy, yeah. But this time you've got to admit, it's most definitely looking like this falls on the mayor's administration and the Republicans pulling something funky, right? I mean, you've got to admit that. I add this. Oddly, the Democrats were the ones that got in trouble several years ago. Then it was the newer Democrats and a few Republicans that pushed for the ethics ordinance forward. And now it's the Republican mayor's administration and some Republican counselors that want to slow the ethics ordinance down and make all kinds of changes. It's just kind of funky. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? Who cares? It's Muncie. Who needs ethics, right? Here's the thing that I don't get. Here's what I don't understand. In Muncie's long history of being Little Chicago, of being the hideout for John Dillinger robbing the bank in Daleville, John Dillinger hiding out up at Liberty and Jackson, and him being friends with the sheriff, and that's how he knew how to get out in time, and he got out, or else he would have been killed here in Muncie. And all of the dirty that went on, everything from Jim Carrey and all of the various different police officials that were being indicted, and the FBI coming in and arresting Carey when he was sheriff, and indicting him when he was mayor, and indicting him again when he's police chief, and doing all this shit, and all of the dirt that went on with the Democratic Party and Phil Nichols and Allie Craycraft and the quirks and everything that's went on, and all of the dirt that's been under 214 for 60, 80 years. All of the Democrats that have caused the trouble. The 8-year, 10-year long FBI investigation into Democrat Mayor Dennis Tyler, arresting and indicting like 11 different Democrat elected officials, appointed officials, employees, Democrat going in and serving warrants at Democrat headquarters, and doing everything that they've done, and everything that's led up to the white horse riding hour coming in and making things better, quote unquote, in 2020. Everything that's led up to that. All of the dirt and the bad and the corruption has always been Democratic. And all of the Republicans that have always said, we need a chance to get in. We can't ever get the mayor's office. We need the mayor's office back. We need the mayor's office back. We get the mayor's office back. But it's the Democrats that push for an ethics bill, an ethics ordinance. It wasn't Ridenhour. It wasn't Aaron Clark. It wasn't Richard Ivey when he was on the council, or it wasn't, I mean, for good, bad, and different, it wasn't Troy Ingram. It was Democrat, far-leaning, left-leaning, left liberal Jeff Robinson, who pushed for this ethics ordinance. And then other Democrats, new Democrats, old Democrats jumped on board. They're embarrassed. They don't want a repeat of what happened. They want an ordinance, an ethics ordinance, and an ethics commission of citizens, not elected officials, citizens of all makes and models and types and sizes and whatever. And now it's the Republicans that are fighting it. What? Why? What in the bloody hell are they doing? It's nuts. It's insane. And for anybody that says
No,
the
no, no,
right,
no, 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 stop.
the right thing, it's insane.
JD Prescott.
Yep.
What did JD Prescott tell us? JD Prescott told us that he could tell the moral superiority and the fiscal responsibility of someone because all he needed to do was look to see whether they had an R or a D next to their name. And the R would immediately let us know that they were morally superior and fiscally responsible.
JD
That's
Prescott
the
really
attitude
said
all
that.
of these Republicans have. They don't need an ethics ordinance. They're morally superior to everyone else. They would never do anything wrong. And if they do it, that must mean that it's morally
It's
correct.
right. Yeah. Yep.
JD Prescott answered that question for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Absolutely true. Now, I will tell you, I do agree with a lot of people that say this is just double work. We don't really need all of this. There's already laws. There's already codes on the books that detail everything that goes on here. The council has investigative authority, yada, yada, yada. Like, I get it. I understand. But you're not going to hear me bitching about having a political ordinance, an ordinance that says, you can't be running for office and take money from a vendor. You're not going to hear me say that. You're not going to hear me bitch about an ordinance that says you can't be an elected official, a city employee, and be a contract employee for the city. You're not going to hear me say that. So they want to do it. Have at it. Have at it. I love it. Have at it. So I didn't think it's funny that all 9 of them, after everybody bitching about it, all 9 of them voted for it. So that's funny.
Ordinance 38-24.
All right. That's where we're going to stop this. So they go on from here, and they cover. So that's been all through the previous ordinances previously introduced. From there, they go into new ordinances, and the new ordinances that they go into are the strange ordinances that we talked about last night. They go into ordinance 38. Oh, so it's 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42. Okay. So ordinance 38, 24, 39, 24, 40, 24, 41, 24, and 42, 24. And just in order, 38 is parking regulation. 39 is repealing the cable television thing. 40 is repealing the other cable television thing. So 39 and 40, they voted 9-0 to repeal, and that was a good thing. It was just getting them off the books because we don't need anything to do with that anymore. It's been 10 years since anything's been remotely involved with that, and nothing will ever be involved with that again. So those are gone. All right. That leaves us with 38-24. They voted 9-0 to introduce it. It will be talked again about next month, so we can focus on it then. Ordinance 41-24 is an ordinance amending Chapter 52 of the Muncie City Ordinances entitled Waste and Litter. Again, they will talk about this more next month. We'll focus on it then. They voted 9-0 to introduce it. Moving on from there, ordinance 42-24, an ordinance to amend the City of Muncie comprehensive zoning ordinance from an R5 residential zone to the BV variety business zone for the 400 block of North Morrison. All 9 of them voted to introduce it, and we will talk about it again next month. So those went wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. From there was no resolutions. So there were no resolutions. They went immediately into tabled ordinances. Tabled ordinance 12-24 remained tabled. And it was first introduced in June, which means it has to come off the table by June of next year or it will die. And ordinance 27-24, it remained on the table, and it was introduced in November. So there's still a long time for it. They then went into other business. During other business, a couple different citizens stood up. Micah stood up again and spoke. She became my hero tonight. I love it. And then a couple different people stood up and talked about homelessness and the need to do something. And this is something that's starting to get out of hand in Muncie. Something is going to have to be done. And it's going to be interesting. A lot of people were asking about how they get meetings with Ridenhour and how they get to, get in and talk to him and, get in with the man with the plan. And nobody had an answer for that. It's just like everybody's like, well, I don't know. If you figure out how to get hooked up with him, let me know, because nobody knows. So that was the end of that meeting. It was a long meeting, but it was a good meeting. In the long run, I think the ethics code ordinance of the code of ethics and the ethics commission is a good idea. I'm glad that they were kind of pushed into voting for this. I am going to reach out for a comment on what exactly the hell the attorney meant. I'm going to reach out to find out what was the other thing. I'm going to reach out to find out what Roe was going on about basically all night. I need to talk to her and find out what the hell was going on. I also want to clarify what Jackie said. Jackie did say up in here that in January, the council will vote for their organization. They will vote for a president, a vice president, and a reading secretary. They absolutely need to do away with Jerry as president. I don't know who it'll be. I have a strong sneaking suspicion it will be Nora, or it'll be one of the double twins. It'll be Nora or the other one that I forget, Sarah and Nora. Roe very well could be jockeying for the president spot with as many Democrats on the council. I don't see her getting it, but look, Jeff was able to get it with all of the Republicans on the council. So you never really know. These counselors are weirdos. And during the very first part of the meeting, one thing I will let you guys hear at the very, 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 very first part of the meeting, the whole time, you could hear Roe saying something that was really odd. I'm going to let you guys hear it. Gotta find it. Let me get up here to it. Yeah, right here we go. Listen. Listen. Here we go. Listen to what Roe says.
No,
There you go.
I'm not being taken away from that.
Good evening, everybody.
And I'm counting on you
Thank
and
you for
Billy.
coming out to our December 2nd.
I'm counting on you and Billy.
Common
He's
council
gonna know.
meeting. You cannot hear? Okay,
No.
you might have to turn your hearing aids up. Anyway, please silence your phones, and can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
So I don't know exactly what she was talking about there at the beginning. No, she said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm counting on you and Billy. And she was talking to Harold Mason. So I'm going to flat out ask her, Roe, what were you talking about? You got caught on a hot mic. Now, what were you talking about? So I'm going to find out what the hell that was about. Very interesting, very strange. This was a very strange meeting. Obviously, we also talked about Lisa Friend resigning. We have some questions for her that will be asked on the 16th. Obviously, I have a lot of questions for the commissioners in Delaware County. What's going on with WellPath? What's going on with the rehabilitation center? I have a lot of questions about what's going on with the maintenance man. What's going on with the HR director? I have a lot of questions about Delaware County. We are getting ready to kick in hardcore to a massive focus on Delaware County, a big deep dive on Delaware County, probably like I've never done before. Most of it's really been on the city because the county's always been just really off limits about things. But we're going to really deep dive into the county and find out just what in the hell is going on. So we have a lot of stuff to cover over the next several weeks and months and into the new year. It's going to be a very, very, very exciting time. So go back and listen to the rest of the meeting. You don't miss very much. It fell just like I covered it. I want to thank you all for being here. I do want to say, because I told her I would say something about it. I don't even know if she's still here. Kid Rock said, "What time is the UFO war invasion tomorrow?" For those of you that have not heard, there has been some kind of crazy ass prediction, AI ordeal, something that's been going on for about the last year that has said that at some time on December 3rd, there is supposed to be a UFO battle in the sky. I don't know if this is supposed to be the aliens. Don't know if this is Project Bluebeam. I think it's a whole bunch of bullshit, but I guess we'll see. So be sure to tune in tomorrow or right here if you can at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll either be focusing on something political or maybe be reporting live from the battle in the sky. I'll keep you guys posted. Maybe tomorrow's episode will be War of the Worlds or something. I'll let you know. That would be kind of interesting. We'll see what goes on. All right. I want to thank you guys for listening. I know this has been a long ass episode. It's been a very long day. Some people believe everything. Tell me about it. Tell me about it, Tweety Bird. You guys take care. Thank you all very, very, very much. So stay Second Amendment compliant tomorrow then. Yes, absolutely. Always, always shoot them if you got them. You know what I mean? All right, you guys take care. God bless each and every one of you. Hey, continue keeping Brandon and his family in your thoughts and prayers. I didn't say it earlier, and there's not a lot of people on here. I'll probably talk to him tomorrow, but he's had a loss in his family. I don't know that I can say any more about that at the moment, but it's not my place to say anything. I think they're getting close. Once there's an obituary, I'll talk about it, but that's all. And he's kind of a private person, so just keep him in your thoughts and prayers. They're going to need it for a while. So he's okay. His wife's okay, but it's a family member. So, it's always bad when that happens. We love Brandon and definitely keeping him in our thoughts and prayers around here. So thank you guys for everything. You guys take care of yourselves. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. You guys take care. Have a good night. Have a great day tomorrow, and we'll see you back here, God willing, if there isn't a UFO invasion and war in the sky. Take care. Good night and goodbye.